Coming up next, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show Thursday. It's our first show of October 2020. So much to get to, including last Sunday's Clash of Champions on the WWE Network, this past week's editions of AEW Dynamite, NXT, and Impact Wrestling, and this weekend's NXT TakeOver, the 31st edition. All of that and more right here, right now, live on Fight TV and across our social media channels. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show Live. Welcome, everyone, to the Pro Wrestling Report. Welcome, everyone, to Fight TV. Welcome, everyone, to our social media channels, including Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope via Twitter. And welcome, everyone, to the longest-running professional wrestling news and views broadcast in the world today. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show Live. Damian Nelson coming here from the Pro Wrestling Report studios in Trenton, New Jersey, and I am joined, of course, by our panel who knows the mostest of the restest. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show, and I am pleased to welcome, joining us here live, the one, the only, David Octavius, the Tiberius, the alleged backyard, knockout, straight edge, hardcore, Hall of Famer hero, David. How are you? Actually, you know what? Don't answer that yet because I want to introduce the star of the show. Also joining us, ladies and gentlemen, is one and only, the one, the only, Shane Hurricane Helms, of which they have run out of names for this year. But gentlemen, welcome back here live on a Thursday on Fight TV. How the heck are both of you, and have you recovered from the events of Tuesday night in the debate?
I ain't watched that shit.
I'd like to apologize, by the way. My tie has some orange in it, and I think it's skewing the video here because I appear to be somewhat orange.
Yeah, so you're a Trump supporter. I can see that right now. That's how much you like the. That's how much you like the debates, apparently.
Gregory, I'd like to speak to you one-on-one, man. Mano, if you will. I have never been as insulted as I just was before in my entire history of living. Please do not associate me with that person who currently resides in the presidency of the United States of America.
For the record, Shane Helms said that. Yeah.
Hey, man, you show up looking orange. I got to make some assumptions.
I tried to fix it. I ain't got makeup.
Just take the tie off. Lose the tie.
Well, that's my gimmick, son. I can't lose the tie. I mean, look at you. Look at the way you two are dressed. I got to outdress you.
Well, that's not hard to do for me. Please.
Yeah. Hey, man. Listen, just because I wore Al Snow shirt, don't mean you got to throw jabs like that at poor Al.
Is collar and elbow David going to soon be coming out with a tie line? Because, you know, we used to have that Chernoff kid on this show. So says Chernoff, and he always had tremendous airbrush ties. I need something custom for myself.
Well, then I wouldn't call collar and elbow for a tie because they don't do those kinds of things. Listen, we sell men's clothing, okay? You want a tie, go somewhere else.
Wait, hold on. I understand liberation and such, but a tie is...
Hey, listen, we only have 90 minutes, okay?
You recognize that. That's fantastic. Good for you. Remember that.
Good for noticing, Dave, that we get the little 90-minute text every week from Senior Damien here, and here he is talking about a tie.
It's my job as executive producer of this broadcast to bring the outside in and to keep you two reined in. And the world is talking about the events of Tuesday night, and I regret now bringing it up because I've been accused of being a white supremacist now. Thank you, Shane.
You're orange supremacist. Hey, I'm the one catching the heat because the jackass said stand back. So Amazon put a block on the merchandise that says stand back. I've been saying stand back for 10 years, and now this orange asshole is coming and trying to jump in on my shit.
But I don't think you meant it that way, did you?
Stand the fuck back. What I meant, sorry.
Wait, how do you spell that? DAFUAQ or DA?
So that's close enough.
We want to welcome everybody joining us on our social media channels. Remember, this show is live. We are completely interactive and orange, and you can comment via our video streaming live on YouTube right now, on Facebook Live, and also on Periscope. We get those comments right here live into the control center, and we will pick pertinent ones to share on air. I want to welcome watching us on YouTube, Animal WrestleMania, and also Gabe 606, to name a few. Also, people joining us on Facebook and Periscope. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to tonight, so let's get right down to it. And let's talk about this past Sunday's WWE Clash of Champions event, which was on pay-per-view and the WWE Network. And last week, right here on this very program, you all booked the show as you would book the show. And let's talk about not all the matches, but the two main matches and how those turned out for the both of you. Firstly, it was a championship matchup. It was, well, both were championship matchups. This one on the Raw brand side of things. It was Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, and cleverly done, I think, by WWE, having the legends involved in mass to cause the loss by Randy Orton.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was clever.
I thought it was clever.
So one of the biggest, most jacked up badasses in the entire company needed help from Big Show, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, and Christian.
Shane, can you explain to him why this made sense?
I'm gonna have to side with Damien on that. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Keep in mind, Drew's coming in here injured with a broken jaw. Anybody that knows anything about a broken jaw, it takes a lot longer than a week or two to recover. Well, so right. he comes in injured, and it never came off to me like he desperately needed this help. These were these guys coming in, interjecting themselves. A little payback to the stories, these seeds that have been planted weeks ago. And those seeds bore fruit this past weekend. I thought it was very clever writing. It made it as entertaining as an ambulance match that I've ever seen. I know you had the Shane McMahon and Kane one from back in the day, but other than that, are there any notable ambulances matches ever? This one I thought, oh, ambulance, as my man Luke Cox likes to say.
There it is.
I thought this was very well done, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. You know, Randy still is Randy. Drew still is Drew. I loved it. Go ahead, young Dave.
Well, no, and with that being said, when they have to come on TV Monday night to explain it as to why he needed the help. But to be fair, Randy Orton was beat up also. His jaw was dislocated too.
Well, I don't mind them explaining it. Keep in mind, you always got to keep in mind that there's new viewers. So don't be afraid to give a little feedback and explaining why he was there.
But okay, so the legends all got their heat back, all to get their asses handed to them Monday night. So now we're in that vicious cycle again.
I don't think they got the heat back. I think they got a little comeuppance. And then Randy came back and proved that he's a Viper. So he's still, even though he took this loss in this ambulance match, he is a day later even more dangerous than he was before. That's how you keep guys. You keep them strong. You put out a good product, but you keep those two guys strong. What you don't want is either one of those guys coming out looking weak. That will serve nobody. I thought they both came out looking very impressive.
Shane, you say a day later came out looking stronger, weaker, whatever it was. I'm sorry, I forget. But let's talk about what happened on Raw, because Dave, to your point, everything that they did on Clash was sensible because Randy Orton got what was coming to him. And then on Monday night on Raw, he gave back revenge for what those legends did to him at the pay-per-view at Clash of Champions. I'm a bit surprised at your feelings on this matchup because storytelling-wise, it made all the sense in the world, and it was a bit surprising all the way up to Ric Flair driving away the ambulance. Why did you hate it? There were no small guys involved.
Well, no, it's not that I hated it. I just Randy Orton, or Drew McIntyre got over at SummerSlam beating Randy Orton. Like it made his title reign now legit. But I just didn't think that Drew McIntyre was ever in peril where they had to worry about giving a super kick off the top of the ambulance, and then Big Show having to do his stuff. And what did Christian do? I've already forgotten what his role was in all of that. And for me, it was great seeing Ric Flair drive off, but again, for me now, it's like, okay, what happens now? He just took everybody out with night goggle vision glasses, beat everybody up with the chair. Are they going to come back again for round 2?
Now, to your point, I do wish they would have waited a little bit. I don't know if it was necessary for him to beat up the same legends. If Randy would have came back angry and beat up new people, that would have been a little bit, to me, better. We're also in a situation, as always, with personnel. Maybe they just felt with the personnel they have that they would go back to that. I can see it being a little bit better if the legends got their comeuppance and we didn't see nothing from them for a little while. But that being said, I mean, you just said Drew was never in peril. That was the story. He didn't necessarily need these guys. This was a bunch of people, a bunch of kids from the neighborhood that came together and beat up the bully. I mean, and I think a lot of people can identify with that. So I like that. Shane Helms like that, but I mean, I get what you're saying in terms of, did it make Drew look like He-Man? No. But I don't think he has to every single time. That was a feel-good moment for me, that ambulance.
But how many times has Drew looked like He-Man?
Quite a bit. I mean, he beat the shit out of Brock. He beat the hell out of Randy at SummerSlam. He's had a good moment. If you look like that every single time, that's when you lose interest. Keep in mind, that's why nobody cares about the Incredible Hulk movies, because he's too strong and you can't ever get heat on him. So you got to find other ways to be entertaining. You get heat on the Avengers, hot tag to the Hulk. I got to keep telling. I see it always comes back to comics.
Always. Because that's how we understand.
So how about that food Tuesday night?
Food? Was there food?
Yeah, I had some amazing. I had some Chick-fil-A in St. Louis that was off the charts.
Well, wait, you guys were in St. Louis and you didn't go to Sweetie Pies?
We can't. Isn't there a murder investigation going on there?
No. Miss Robbie still runs the Upper Crust location.
We didn't have time for that. We were in and out pretty quick.
The Ferguson.
We went there. Shane and I, we went down to St. Louis to say goodbye to our good friend Road Warrior Animal. It was a beautiful service, beautiful ceremony, great seeing a lot of friends and family all coming to celebrate the life of an amazing man. So we were down there for that. Didn't have time, for much else.
Well, both of you at Clash of Champions did pick Drew McIntyre, or would have booked Drew McIntyre to win that matchup. He did. What I gather from this conversation so far is, David, you hated it. Shane, you liked it.
Oh, I didn't say I hated it. I just
started the show hating it. Then Shane corrected you. Now all of a sudden you don't hate it.
I didn't.
Will you denounce the main event, the championship matchup between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton at Clash of Champions? Yes or no? Will you denounce it?
Yes, and I promise I won't get upset if they don't win.
But Drew McIntyre did win.
He did. But let's talk about the other match.
Yeah, let's do that.
Please.
And I won't let you bury yourself again as you did in the first matchup we talked about. I'll let Shane start with his opinion.
Whoa. First of all, my opinion is not wrong, nor is Shane's.
It certainly ain't right.
I just didn't like what they did there. That's all.
All right, so we're going to go to Shane now and talk about the other championship matchup, that being a matchup one-on-one between Rey Mysterio and Jey Uso. Jey Uso.
Or Roman Reigns.
I'm sorry, Roman Reigns. Where the heck did I was thinking about Dominic, who had another tremendous matchup on Raw.
Whoa! You are too much.
He had a great match. Oh, wait, let me guess. You don't like Dominic either, right?
He's okay. He's good.
You just exemplify hate. It's a shame. It really is. Shane, we're going to get your thoughts on the matchup between Roman Reigns, the reigning defending champion, going up against his cousin, Jey Uso, where we saw Jimmy Uso come out and throw in the towel to end the matchup. An interesting finish, one that may have been a little bit obvious for those keeping score at home, but I still enjoyed it at Clash. What did you think, Shane?
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Ending the do you guys hear an echo? Is that just me?
Slight.
Why is that happening? I enjoyed it. I love leaving with heat. You can't do it a lot with today's environment, but you know, pro wrestling, that's what makes the pro wrestling industry so unique. We're the only ticket buying entity that one of the goals is to piss off the audience. That's heat. When you can piss off that audience, that's heat. And this was really well done. And it was a good story. You know, Roman Reigns now being the chief, you call me chief. I just thought that was so cool. It was just badass, and you felt for Jey Uso, and they had some really good moments too, where Jey proved that he belonged in that match, that he belonged in that title scene, and that was very important that be established. That it wasn't just a squash, it wasn't just a beatdown. You know, Roman Reigns, of course, he was dominant. He looks like he could dominate anybody. That part was cool, but man, I thought it was great storytelling, the verbiage, the verbal beatdown that Roman was delivering, as well as the physical beatdown. Jey not wanting to quit, telling his brother, "No, don't you throw that towel." Man, it was almost Apollo Creed and Drago, but without the faceplant of Doom. I enjoyed the hell of it.
Just to help, and I don't know if that's better with the echo or not, but just to help those of you listening at home, Shane, you mentioned Apollo Crews and
Apollo
Drago?
Creed and Drago, Rocky IV. When don't throw the towel, and then Drago killed him. Did you not see
was
Rocky
Drago?
IV?
Was Drago Dolph Lundgren?
Yes, Ivan Drago.
What planet are you on? You haven't seen Rocky IV?
Hey, you know what? I'm not the greatest fan of the Rocky movies. Part 3 I watched only because Hogan was in it. I had not seen 1 and 2. I saw part 4 because of Brigitte Nielsen. But
you got a couple points on that one. I'm surprised by that answer, but you got a couple points.
Was there a Rocky 5?
Yes, there was.
No.
Yes, there was.
That shit has been stricken from the record. They don't even acknowledge it in their movies anymore.
Let me ask you guys this. Okay, which has been stricken? Rocky 5,
yes.
Smokey and the Bandit Part 3,
yes,
or Jason Nightmare Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Which one is stricken most?
Rocky 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Dave?
Awful.
I didn't watch Jason Takes Anything, just so you know. I've never seen those movies.
Do you consider Jason Takes Manhattan worse than Jason in Space?
Jason X. No. All right, as a fan of the genre. No, let me.
This is your fault, Shane.
Let me explain, Shane. I want you to go back and watch Jason X again. And if you haven't, watch it against Part 8. Part 8 was comically horrible. It gets better, actually, when I watch it now. But Jason X actually was pretty damn good if you watch it after, from a cinematic standpoint. The storyline sucked.
Who was he killing? E.T.?
You're in shock.
Yeah, I am too.
They literally gave up in the middle of that movie. And it's like, the hell with this. We're just going to make a comedy. And you can feel it. Like, not even after maybe the first act, going into the second act, you realize they've given up on this being a horror movie because it's such a ridiculous plot. But when the dude got stabbed through the guts, and he's like, it takes more than a stick to the guts to kill this old dog. And then one comes through his chest, and he goes, yep, that'll do it. And literally the whole theater's in there laughing like, no, everybody just gave up on that one being a horror movie. That shit was horrible.
Hey, you guys like comic books and video games and such, so I'll add another question to that before we get back to wrestling. The 3 movies I mentioned, or Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I don't even remember that. So,
oh my god, it was horrible.
But how bad Rocky 5 was, that I remember. Like when something's so bad it sticks with you. That's bad.
Come on, like Tommy Morrison.
Police Academy 6.
Terrible. I don't remember.
Mission to Moscow. All right, so Clash of Champions, your thoughts overall. Dave, we started with you. We'll give you the chance to finish up. We didn't go over match by match.
What match are we talking about now? Where are we at on the show?
Oh, sorry, we didn't get your thoughts on the Roman Reigns championship matchup.
Oh, okay. I loved it. I thought Roman Reigns did everything he needed to do to be a legit badass. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't screaming. He was physical. He was dominating. And Jey Uso did a fantastic job of being the sacrificial lamb at times. I don't know why Jimmy asked Jay if he should throw in the towel, because if he wasn't going to quit on his own, why would he say yes, throw in the towel now? But I mean, if you're looking at the big picture storyline where Roman Reigns is like collecting all the Samoans on the show and he's now their tribal leader, well, if you go a little Black Panther-ish, there's going to have to be a challenge for that top chief. And what better way than to try to bring The Rock out of retirement for a WrestleMania chief versus chief match, The Rock and Roman Reigns? I think if that's the storyline they're going with, I think it's huge blockbuster money, especially if they're going to keep Roman Reigns being this much of a badass and just destroying people.
Interesting. Overall, the show Clash of Champions from WWE, it delivered. You know, every match was, I think, a championship matchup, which was good. That is the gimmick, if you will. Let's
talk about that ladder match. That ladder match was fantastic.
Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy. Did it live up to the expectations, Dave?
I thought they did. I thought it was just physical enough. I thought the finish was very creative, with Sami being that dastardly cheating son of a gun with the handcuffs. I thought it was great, and it was a great way for Sam. I didn't know if Sami was going to win or not after he won the match on Friday on SmackDown, because it's not very often they put him over on SmackDown than on the pay-per-view on that Sunday. But I thought they did a great job, and Sami obviously needs it more. I mean, Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles are established household names, you know, in the world of wrestling. Sami Zayn isn't quite there yet, so those two guys chasing him, I think, is going to be some big money.
Shane, how about you? What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great. You know, I think we talked about, I wanted Jeff to win because I wanted his reign to be a little longer. I feel like keep giving him these little short reigns, which they've done quite a bit. You know, I was like, man, give my man some time. But Sammy's good too. You know, that finish, very creative. A lot of crazy bumps. I'm starting to just really cringe when I see Jeff, because, I mean, it's taking its toll. You know, and at some point, it's like, we get it. You do crazy shit. You don't have to do it all the time.
How old is Jeff now?
Jeff's 2 years younger than me, so he's 44.
Wow.
So, yeah, man, it's just, you know, but he still seems, I mean, he still looking good physically, but, you know, it takes its toll on him. So, and that's just personal, just because I care about him so much as a human being. But, you know, there's other people that could do that, and I might not care as much. So, but still, fantastic ladder match. Those guys tore it down. I thought overall the whole show was good. I like Asuka. You know, they had to make some kind of adjustments. We didn't get the women's tag match for whatever reason, and I know they gave a public reason, but I don't know if that was legit or anything. And like I said, I don't want to disrespect this show by reaching out and trying to get inside information. So I don't know what happened with that, but Asuka's 2 performances I thought were really good. Sasha coming back, she looked good as hell beating that ass. You know, Bobby Lashley against Apollo Crews, that was good. There was one weird part where you know, Bobby was on the floor and MVP's trying to tell him to get in the ring to beat the count. And I'm like, that's, you know, you're the champ, you don't have to beat the count. So that might have been like just a little brain fart on MVP's part, but I just thought it was a really solid pay-per-view. You know, I mean, it wasn't one of the big 4, but for a pay-per-view that's not one of the big 4, I thought it was solid, and it wasn't anything I hated.
What do you do with Apollo Crews going forward? Where do you put him?
Well, you know, I mean, it's like I said last week. I feel like, you know, he had to get his big rematch, and this was it. And now it's time to move on to something else. You know, I mean, I don't know how long he could fight the Hurt Business. He's had a ton of matches with the Hurt Business. You know, and of course, the personnel problems I alluded to earlier, they still exist. So they might have to string this out a little bit more. I don't know. But at some point, he's got to move on, you know, and try to do some other things.
And right there is the problem, Shane. I mean, if we're watching this as wrestling fans more than people that have worked in it and understand it a little bit more than others, do we want to see another Bobby Lashley Apollo Crews match again? Do we want to see another Apollo Crews and MVP match again? I don't. That's the kind of stuff that will make me turn the channel now.
Yeah, and they got to be real careful with how cool and how interesting they make the Hurt Business. When you make your heels cooler and more interesting than your baby faces, you know, that's going to create a problem, because that makes me not care about the baby faces anymore.
And how does Retribution not show up on that pay-per-view?
I guess they weren't booked.
Well, I think they were booked for another gimmick, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care at all about Retribution right now. So they still haven't done anything to really. That's a heel gimmick that hasn't garnered my interest whatsoever. So
yeah, but Teabag tweeting I think is hilarious.
T-Bar,
yes,
T-Bar,
that's
an
entirely different show. T-Bar.
But at the same time,
watching him and Bischoff go back and forth has been awesome.
But and this is at the same time. This is supposed to be your big heel thing, and they're being funny as hell on Twitter. So they're trying to be baby, so they're baby faces on Twitter, but heels on the TV. These send out such mixed signals like that. That's just terrible character development.
I agree. Social media is the downfall of wrestling.
I mean, just imagine Lex Luthor is trying to take over the world, right? But on Twitter, he's just like putting up pictures of his cats, and like
and you find out he's vegetarian.
Here I am at the barbecue. Well, I guess it wouldn't be at a barbecue if he's vegetarian. But whatever he's doing, all this humanitarian efforts, it's like that would be terrible. And they're like I don't know what's supposed to happen here. There's so many mixed signals in this business now. Who am I supposed to like? Who am I supposed to hate? Sometimes dumb it down for me.
Well, gentlemen, on that point, let's move on to our next subject, which is the winner in the ratings this week again over NXT. It is AEW Dynamite, scoring 866,000 viewers on top of 3% rather growth from the prior week over NXT's 732,000 viewers. NXT actually growing more week to week than AEW did, plus 5%. But still the winner for I don't know how many weeks in a row is AEW. And gentlemen, I don't know if you've seen, but some interesting data was released by Variety actually earlier this week about the ratings of AEW. The story was talking about the growth and the future of AEW yet 1 year after its debut. And it looked at the ratings for both AEW and NXT and how they have remained fairly steady, actually grown since the beginning of the pandemic. Yet the ratings for Raw and SmackDown are down since the beginning of the pandemic. I would love to get your thoughts on that before we go into what was a loaded AEW Dynamite this week. First, you, Dave.
You know what it is? I think that the wrestling fans have grown tired of the WWE product. I don't think that they have been getting what they've been promised. How long ago was it when Vince, Stephanie, and H came out and told the fans they're going to give the show back to the fans, and they haven't done that. And the whole COVID era has been just one big cock block for everything. But AEW seems to be giving the fans more of what they want.
The COVID cock block is what this is. This is the COVID cock block era.
Hey, you know what? You know what? 2020 has absolutely sucked. I think we could all agree with that. But there was some great news released just earlier today on Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw, but we have a sequel coming. We talked about sequels earlier. I don't think this one has any chance of being bad. Borat, the subsequent feature film, I think it's called, the sequel to Borat is coming out on Amazon Prime, I think, on October 28th.
You know it's going to be terrible. It's going to be off the charts obnoxious. Worse than
you didn't like the original Borat, huh?
No. I thought it was hilarious, but just now that it's on it's going to be on Prime, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
It's gonna be 10 times worse because there's no filtering on that. I'm all about filtering, just so you know.
oh, Elizabeth. Jeez Louise. What term did you just use to reference 2020 a moment ago?
It's the COVID era.
Or COVID, rather. No, yeah, the biggest what of life. Yeah, you're all about filtering, pal.
It's the biggest rooster brick of our time.
Anyways, I didn't even know another Borat was in the works. 14 years later, we're getting another one, which is going to be tremendous, at least in my opinion. We'll see what happens with it, and if we can put it in the same category of the movies we talked about earlier. Shane, you're not a fan of Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen?
No, I'm a huge fan of him. I just, I don't know. I think it'll be fine on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime has The Boys, which is the best show going right now, so it'll be fine, I guess. I mean, he's insane. However, he pulls off all that crazy shit he pulls off. It's entertaining as hell.
Well, let's get down to it. AEW Dynamite, the main event. We'll go backwards to forwards as we did last week, even though, Shane, I know that upsets you. But it was...
you build to the main event. You build to the main event. This is...
But wait, we're opposite. We're trying to grab them and keep them, not keep them and... Wait.
Bro, you started off talking about ties. If you wanted to grab them and keep them, we lost them a long time ago. So let's try to keep the ones that mercifully have held on. Dave, am I wrong with the Kobe Cop block?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that whole thing.
The endorsed Darby Allin gets a win over the soon-to-be endorsed Ricky Starks in an opening matchup to what seemingly might have been an attempt to close out this feud, but I don't think it did. Shane, what did you think?
I thought it was great. Those two guys have they work really well together. The only thing that's weird to me is Sparks, whatever, using the spear. He just doesn't seem like a guy that's big enough that can have this really impactful spear.
But look who he's wrestling with.
Yeah, but still, he's just jumping on your opponent. Like, it's different when Goldberg was running through you. That's just so different. I don't know. That's tiny. That's being nitpicky as hell. Everything else, I thought the mechanics of this worked. They beat the shit out of each other, so it looked rough. They looked like they both wanted to win, So, and I like Darby Allin. I think, I think both of these guys have a huge future ahead of them. Assuming Darby doesn't get hurt, because he is, he's a Jeff Hardy in the making, and very dangerous guy. So,
when they brought Ricky Starks in to have his match with Cody Rhodes, I'm thinking, oof. I've heard of the guy. I think I saw him on NWA Power once. But, man, this guy every week, he's been solid. He's the one guy that you honestly believe is 110% always trying to win.
Yeah, great facials. He tells a great story with his face. Doesn't have that stoic face that so many of today's talent has, which dilutes the story so bad. But I don't know, man. Like I said, the physicality was good. I thought they told a really good story. They looked like they were both trying to win. And, really creative finish. It looked like Darby kicked Starks right in the damn brain to set up their coffin drop. So I don't know how rough that kick was, but it looked like something I didn't want to take.
Yeah, but how rough is that coffin drop? That looks like a Buick is landing on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what we used to call. Jeff Hardy has a version of the Swanton where he crushes you, and we call it the crouton. You don't want that crouton. You get hit with that damn crouton, it's over. I may have been the one that came up with that terminology, but you got to be careful. Yeah, that coffin drop looks like it sucks.
David, you make the point about Ricky Starks, and I didn't see him in NWA Power, and I've long been an advocate of him on this broadcast, but it was actually on social media. It was on Twitter, I believe, where there was some promo that he had cut, and I don't even remember what it was in relation to, but I remember watching it, and I've said it on this program before. I don't know the last time I've seen that level of believable charisma from a talent as I see from Ricky Starks. Al Snow, who Shane is representing via clothing tonight, he has taught us many times, many things on this program, but he taught us the A, B, and C, right, Dave? The A, B, and C of wrestling. I think A is your entrance, B is the match, C is your exit, right? And Ricky checks all those boxes in a way I've not seen in a very, very, very long time. So while we praise him, let's go ahead and be fair and balanced here and talk about where there might be opportunities for Ricky Starks. Jump ball, Dave, you can take it first.
Right now it's kind of hard because he's not going to get in the title picture with Jon Moxley anytime soon. And Mr. Brody Lee is going to be busy with Cody. But, I just think that Starks is going to give him a good year and a half, maybe 2 years of a strong build. And he could very easily be in that heavyweight title picture. As long as he keeps doing the things he's doing now and doesn't get complacent and lazy and worried about all the different spots he's going to do, I think for him the sky is the limit, especially in a company like AEW that rewards talents like that.
Great point. Shane, how about you?
It's weird because I guess he's one of Taz's guys, which Taz being on commentary during that match is such a weird thing too, because he, when he kind of goes in and out. Is he like somebody I'm supposed to like on commentary? Am I supposed to dislike him? That's kind of all over the place. He's fantastic at being a commentator. I'm not sure where they want us to go with that, So I guess he's still got the relationship with Brian Cage where they'll have each other's back. So maybe there's a FTW thing in the future for the FTW championship because it's still going to stick around, I guess. So, I mean, there's still things to do. Just because you're not in the championship picture doesn't mean you can't have a good storyline with somebody else. When the Attitude Era, which was the peak of the business, there was all these other tiny little stories that were always going on during the show. And it might not have involved, the heavyweight championship or the tag team or whatever. But everybody that came out was involved in the story. That's what you want to do. Just keep them involved in something. And I think he's good enough that he can pull off whatever they give him.
Folks, this is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. We're live on Fight TV. That's FITE Fight. Also live across our social media channels. That's YouTube, Facebook, Periscope via Twitter. I want to thank all of you for joining us. I want to thank you for your comments as you watch the show along live. And if you're watching right now and you have not yet engaged, the current active question is, what do you think, you, the viewing audience, what do you think of Ricky Starks? With that, we're going to move on to the next segment on Dynamite, and we might seem a little lopsided because we decided last week to talk about the highlights of the shows. Well, Dynamite just had several of them, and you alluded to it, Shane. The confrontation, or the promo, if you will, by Cody, which was followed up by a confrontation between he and Brody Lee. I have my challenges with Brody Lee. I don't fully understand what that character is supposed to be, but I tell you what, David, this was delivered in such a perfect fashion. You believed these two men wanted to destroy each other. You believed that Brandy and the women outside the ring when the pull apart was going inside the ring. You believed they wanted to get at it after each other. This was tremendously executed by the endorsed Cody Rhodes. Next week, it's a dog collar match for the TNT Championship, which seemingly still is more important than the AEW World Championship. Love to hear your thoughts on that as well. But David, this confrontation was perfectly executed, in my opinion.
Yeah, the confrontation was great, but let's talk about that promo that Cody Rhodes cut. I don't think there is a better promo guy right now in wrestling. He's believable. You can feel the emotion. You can feel the passion. You can feel the want and the desire. You can feel that he is consumed by everything that is professional wrestling. And it was great. I mean, that promo, if I was just someone flipping through the channels and I was there and I was watching for 2 or 3 minutes, well, damn, I'm going to tune in next week because I really believe this guy wants to beat somebody's ass. He did a great job with it. I don't know why the girls had to get involved in this segment. I think that wasn't needed. I think there's enough people in the ring. I don't know if it almost took the spotlight off what Brody Lee and Cody were trying to do at that moment. But yeah, I thought it was a great segment. It's the best promo I've seen in a long time. And Cody Rhodes just keeps proving that he is a top star.
Shane?
Oh yeah, I love this segment. The Brody Lee thing, the only thing that's been weird to me is I don't know why he's so angry. Why is he so mad? He came in, he would beat Cody for the championship in 3 minutes. Seems like he would be happy. It still hasn't been explained to me why he's so damn angry, and now we're in this dog collar match. The most famous dog collar match of all time being Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine. These guys hated each other for years before it got to the point where we're going to have a dog collar match and beat the shit out of each other with a steel chain. It's like, hey, we need you to be angry at Cody. Okay, I'll go be angry. I don't understand why is he so angry. So I think I wish they would have taken the time a little bit more. That being said, agree with Dave. The promo by Cody that was the promo of the week by far. Nothing else even close. Love the intensity. Of course, he believes what he says. He's allowed to write his own stuff. He's fantastic at it. The girls getting involved. I see a lot of people not liking that. I understand it, but at the same time, it had this weird effect. It was like, okay, man, get back to the guys. Get back to the guys. It actually made me want to see the guys even more. So it had this weird psychological effect. It added a layer, and I really don't think it took away because it made me want to see him even more. And I thought it helped in that aspect. I don't know about Brandy doing a dive, knocking down 4 or 5 grown men. That seemed a little preposterous. I don't think that was needed. Her when she squared off with the one girl from the Dark Order and they were going at it, I thought that added a layer to it. Brandy coming out and helping her, man, that shit don't bother me at all. But I love the big pull apart. But the thing is, when you do a pull apart on a show, it's like you can't do any other run-ins, because if you do, where's everybody else at? If you're gonna do a pull apart, just because of that, it should have got a little dirtier before everybody ran. You know what I mean? A little bit more out of control. But I thought it was a fantastically exciting segment, and I mean the promo alone made me wanted to see the match. The pull apart just added to it. That was just icing on the cake that made the segment even better.
Let me ask you guys this. Thank you for that analysis. Very good. And we'll get to your comments, those of you watching via our social media channels on Ricky Starks in a minute. Keep them coming. Question is, what do you think of Ricky Starks? But I want to touch on something you talked about, Shane, which was, how did we get to the dog collar match so fast? And I wonder if this is a challenge, yet an opportunity for AEW. Fewer pay-per-view events, fewer in-games, if you will. November 7th, I believe, is Full Gear. Their next pay-per-view will be some 2 months after All Out. Should they be spending more time in telling these stories and getting to these big matchups? Because I believe I said on this program that some of the build-up to All Out felt a bit rushed. Not in a negative way, but just that we could have gotten a bit more out of it, including the Sammy Guevara Matt Hardy story. While it was flawed for reasons not of either of those two, it felt as if we could have not dragged it out a little more, but gotten more out of it. And maybe this is the case as well with Cody and Brody Lee, where, again, I'm still not sure I understand why Brody was so dominant in that match after Cody was so dominant for so many weeks in a row. And now, as you said, why the anger? Why the rage? Should they be spending more time to explain it more, Shane?
I don't mind the dominance. Jose Aldo was the most dominant, one of the most dominant pound-for-pound fighters in MMA history, and Conor McGregor dominated him in 13 seconds. Shit like that really happens. That don't bother me at all. What bothered me is the storytelling. If I go out there and, afterward, Conor McGregor didn't get mad and challenge him to a dog collar match, you should be happy. You just dominated one of the biggest stars in AEW. When Brody Lee beat Cody that bad, I still just don't understand why he's so angry. I've dealt with this in the past with guys. There was a funny story with me and Batista when I was working with Batista right before Evolution. Trying to groom him, getting him from OVW to the to the main roster. So we do a lot of house shows. And I remember one time they wanted him to come out there and just be angry. And I was like, and that worked with like maybe Spike Dudley or some of the other guys. But I was like, all right, well, let me make him mad. I'm a superhero. I got a character. Let me make him mad. And one of the agents didn't understand what I was saying. I was like, well, why is he mad at me? Look at him. He should be happy. A guy that size should look at me, knows he's going to kill me, and just be happy. Why the hell is he so mad at me? He goes, well, that's his character. I was like, mad's a character? Mad, that's an emotion. That's nothing to do with a character. And I was like, let me make him mad. I'll get him there, and then I'll get killed. We're going to get to the killing. That's going to happen. Let me make him mad. Let me tell that little story. So I just wish I knew why he was so mad.
Yeah, it makes no sense. He should be gloating. He should be celebrating. He should have girls on both arms, caviar, the whole thing. Like he's the man. And it's just like he's always pissy. And it's like, dude, you're the number 1 or number 2 title in the company. Yeah, he's actually getting more TV time than Jon Moxley. So, yeah, Shane, you're absolutely right. And you know what? As cool as it's going to be to see a dog collar match on television, it's going to be interesting to see how much blood they allow in that. They could have just built up to that, but it's like they're going from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. It's like, make us want to see it, just slowly build. I mean, again, and I hate always going back to it, we wanted to see Ricky Steamboat destroy either Jake Roberts or Randy Savage because they got the better of him. Now, I mean, imagine if Savage would have dropped the ring bell on Steamboat's throat, and then 2 weeks later they're already having a big match and it's over. It took like 3 or 4 months.
Throat match.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for your thoughts on that. And speaking of thoughts, let's go to some thoughts from the viewing audience out there. Again, we're live here on Thursday, October 1st. I get a pass there because September just ended less than 12 hours ago. October 1st, we are live on Fight TV and, of course, across our social media channels. The question was, what did you think of Ricky Starks? We asked of you, the viewing audience. Several of you chimed in on YouTube. Gabe606 says, Ricky Starks is money. Trencher 1375 says that Ricky Starks is a great wrestler and a great arrogant type bad guy. I think Starks can do it all in wrestling, to be honest. That's a big statement there from Trencher 1375 on YouTube. And Dave, a friend of yours, Troy Dean, says, I pointed out Starks back in his debut in the NWA. Yeah, but what do you think about him, Troy? Because I think a lot of people did point him out, if you will, or realize his talents or abilities in the NWA. Speaking of which, I would imagine you guys heard we got a statement from Billy earlier this week about the status of NWA Power, and it looks like it will be returning, which will be good overall for the wrestling business.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great talent in NWA that they've been sitting at home, so it'll be good to get them busy, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of relationship AEW has with Billy Corgan going forward, especially now there's a new dynamic in that front office.
Well, let's continue talking about AEW, and it was a tag team matchup, the first of the Step Up, Step Out. I can't remember what they named the challenge, but it was FTR defeating SCU. Tully Blanchard pulling the Bobby Heenan, holding the leg down, allowing for the pinfall victory. David Hero, what did you think of this contest?
You know what? I love it. I just don't want to see FTR get into the habit of cheating to win every match. Because now it's been the last couple of weeks, that's what they've been doing. And listen, I always say heels need to cheat, but have a little bit of a break in between. You know what I mean? It's just been blatant. It's been overly obvious. And eventually this whole 20-minute time limit thing is going to work against them.
And next up, we did have a matchup between Chris Jericho and Isaiah, not to be confused with Orange. David.
I want to hear what Shane has to say about that match with FTR.
Oh, sure, we can do that. Just remember, you're yielding your 2 minutes that you have for the next topic to Shane. Go right ahead, Shane.
All right, I like it. The cheating didn't bother me. The only thing these matches do with all the 10,000 false finishes, you know, the cadence is a little repetitive. You know, I don't know if we have to do that every single match. The cheating doesn't bother me. Heels cheating doesn't bother me at all. But, you know, the thing with before the match where the Young Bucks super kicked Tony Schiavone, and it seemed like that bothered FTR. So they kind of seemed like the babyface in that little backstage segment, I guess. I don't know. Not like pure baby faces, but they at least seemed concerned. Like I said, that was a little strange, but as far as mechanics in the ring, I mean, incredible match. There's two of the best tag teams in the world right now. So love that match.
Next up was Chris Jericho versus Isaiah Cassidy. Again, David Hero, not to be confused with Orange Cassidy, who I believe you still hate this week. But of course, I was entertained by this matchup. Jericho getting the win over Cassidy, no surprise there, but there were a lot of shenanigans as well involved. Shane, what did you think of this showing by Cassidy over Jericho?
Yeah, I mean, for a young guy, that was his first big match, man. I thought he did really good. You know, I thought the selling was really good. You know, kind of slowed his pace down a little bit. He's going to get better and better as the years go along. Get his feet under him a little bit more, control his body a little bit more. I think he did that dive on the outside. I think that's what broke Big Jake Hager's nose. If it wasn't broke, he at least, you know, bloodied him up a little bit. And I thought they used the guys on the outside okay. And then Jericho with the out of nowhere, you know, Judas effect. What a better way to put over that finish, because Isaiah gets in all of his stuff. He gets in his entire arsenal, but one Judas effect puts him to sleep. So I liked it. I thought Jericho made him look good. It showed what can be there in the future. He's 22, 23 years old. What I thought he made a great
from Brooklyn. And he's from Brooklyn.
Yeah. Don't forget that. That's very important.
I pointed that out last week, and you persecute me. You pointed out now, and now it's an important thing.
That was the joke.
Oh.
Thanks for playing.
Shane, I'm sorry. I'm on edge. I'm on edge.
What's he got to do with
this? Are you though? Anyway,
so Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker returned to the ring, in-ring competition.
Wait, hold on a second.
Red Velvet. You yielded your 2 minutes. You yielded them.
I didn't.
We have
talk about
40
Montez
minutes
and
left
Jericho
in the show.
I loved how that match started off where Jim Ross is like, hey, dude, we're live. You need to get going on this. When it made you feel that he was unsure if he could do this or not. And I thought that was a great way for the commentators.
Wait, hold up. You said Montez and Jericho. It was Isaiah Cassidy with a
That's
K.
What, no, I said Isaiah Cassidy. I did not say Montez Ford.
Shane.
Hey, what?
He's we are the world. Go ahead, David.
No, I just thought it was great because it when it started off, it looked like Isaiah Cassidy was actually afraid to be in the ring. And then when Jim Ross said, hey, pal, this is the big leagues, you got to go. And then it started almost on cue. I thought that was a great way to start it. But it was just weird watching Jericho, again, who's all world everything, with these younger talents where he's trying to elevate them. And I just don't know if that is his best value and best use right now.
Really? What else? I mean, I'm shocked by that, actually, David, because he's making new stars in doing so, right?
I don't know if he's okay. So he made Orange Cassidy in a Mimosa match, and then Orange Cassidy gets killed by Brody Lee.
But that part's not his fault. That's not his fault. Jericho, you can't blame Jericho. Jericho does his part to elevate these stars. I'm gonna have to disagree with you about that. I think that's exactly what he does. Now, if the company drops the ball with those guys afterward, you can't hold that against Jericho. What happened? And I know we both agreed that the Orange Cassidy match last week after the Jericho push, not ideal. But I think Jericho still goes out there and he's going to elevate anybody. When you're that big of a star, you should be elevating everybody out there with.
I believe that the older talents, the established stars, absolutely have to give those younger guys the rub and help when needed. But I just don't know if right now is the best time for Jericho to do that.
Dude, he knocked him out with one move. Jericho still went over strong.
No, he did. I get that. But I'm curious to see if the fans are going to tune in for that quarter hour to watch that match, or if they would, or how many more fans would you get to watch Jericho against somebody else that means more to the fans? If AEW is so concerned about the ratings, I think putting Jericho on the second or third match against a guy that the average wrestling fan doesn't know who it is, I don't know if you're wasting your investment there.
Well, but you also got to be careful about dumping all your big names in the same match. You got to spread them out a little bit. What you don't want is two people that nobody knows. That's the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is you're looking at these two people and you don't know who anybody is in the ring. So at least you got one big star out there. And with Jericho and his history, there's going to be something going on. I think that's the appeal. Like, that this isn't just going to be a match. There's going to be some shenanigans, which you should like. There's going to be there's going to be something else attached to it. So because of the inner circle, and in that being said, the promo after the match with MJF, that was as entertaining. That was awesome. So good. That was as entertaining a segment as we saw all week on any show.
That segment actually was the best segment besides Cody's promo on Impact.
Well, the next segment I want to talk about, thanks
or AEW, either one.
Yeah, that one too.
And you didn't say Marquez or Montez.
Who's Marquez?
David Marquez. He's the interviewer. Yeah. I'm talking about anyways. Britt Baker returns to the ring, Shane. She gets a match with Red Velvet. That's less important than the fact that Britt Baker is, as you say, fabulous. Tell us why, Shane.
Yeah, she just looked great. That was a comeback match. She looked impressive. Right back in the mix. She needed a good win. Red Velvet, that's the first I've seen of her. So I thought she did really well. I thought this match was really good. Could have ended it a move or two earlier. There was some kind of little dip they did at the end, completely not needed. But other than that, Britt Baker, I thought looked fantastic out there.
It was the AEW Championship on the line. Jon Moxley going.
Dave, how do you feel about Britt Baker?
I thought Britt Baker.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? Actually, you know what? Give me a moment here. I'll let you guys talk it out. I got to change my name.
Now, you know what was great about Britt Baker was that she was being socially responsible. She put a glove on before she put her hand in somebody's mouth. You know, because you got to avoid the cockblock era. You know what I mean? And that's how you do it.
Need to avoid it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, see, he's all flustered because of the debate. He thinks we're trying to, you know, pull shenanigans. Oh, there he is. Thank God you're back.
He has lost control. What do my pictures feel now?
I'm not. I noticed that, Shane. You know, the place is falling apart over there.
See, no, this is because my fantasy football team. I got a new one, so my older one, they're rebelling. That was a poltergeist.
How are those pterodactyls doing?
Well, I retired the pterodactyls. Now I got the lunar ticks.
Oh yeah, that's right, the lunar ticks.
Oh, the 3-0, dominating.
Just like the Packers. How about that?
I would like to try to regain control of this, gentlemen. My name is Chris Wallace, and I, you know, you both agreed to the rules of this show when you responded to my text, one with picture, one with attitude.
All right, let's go. We all time, clock's ticking. Let's go.
Now you're shutting me off? Now you're cutting me off?
Clock's ticking. Let's go. You can't complain about the time and then be able to rambling. Let's go. Come on, Chris. Mr. Wallace, can you proceed, sir?
Wait. Do you have like lemonade and cookies also, or no? Or is that different, Chris Wallace?
Oh man. I can't. That was Chris. What was his name, Shane, from the Dateline, the Catch a Predator?
Chris Hansen.
Yes, I'm Chris Hansen.
Oh, well, all right.
Does anybody know anybody's name on this show?
John Moxley and the Butcher.
I'm the one that's been dropped on my head for 30 years. You two should have the names down.
Well, wait, I was dropped on my head.
I do.
John Moxley versus the Butcher. I believe it was supposed to be Eddie Kingston.
Dean Moxley against the Candlestick Maker. Let's go. Run with it.
Run with it, Dave. Go ahead.
You know, I was pleasantly surprised how well the Butcher held his own with John Moxley. I mean, he was physical. He was aggressive. I thought it was a solid match. I thought it went a little bit longer than I would have liked to have seen it. John Ambrose just does not – he just looks bored half the time, 3/4 of the time. He just seems uninterested. Yes, Dean Moxley. He just seems so disinterested. And I just wish – it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, it seems like his value has dropped significantly in the last 6 months. I don't think he's considered in the top 5 anymore. Maybe the top 10.
Is that his fault?
Not necessarily, but I think if he doesn't, the energy he exudes shows me he's uninterested, unless I'm reading it wrong.
Well, here's the reason I asked, Dave, and it's the point I made earlier. I'm not sure. So the TNT Championship is the prominently defended championship and represented championship, at least as of late, on AEW Dynamite. The AEW Championship, there has not been, well, you know, I was going to say there's not been a lot of story around it, but MJF and Moxley had a great story leading into that matchup at All Out. But it feels like, again, and I think I talked about this on PWR today, our podcast with Meathead earlier today, Moxley's championship reign in AEW, and I'm not knocking him because this worked at the time in WWE as well, reminds me vividly of CM Punk's championship reign in WWE. It went nearly 500 days, but rarely across those 500 days was it the most talked about or most sought after storyline, nor was it the main event, if you will, presented on the pay-per-view events. And again, I don't know that I'm saying that's bad, but I think, at least in my opinion, it's a bit of a fair comparison. What would you guys say first with you, Shane? Go ahead, Dave.
Did you see Cody's little dig at the AEW championship compared to the TNT title? I forgot how he said it, but he talked about John Moxley being the best at 200 and whatever days it was. And then he mentioned that the TNT title like it meant more than Moxley's when you talk about Brody Lee. And for me, I thought that was interesting. I forgot the exact verbiage she used, but I was like, it's almost like he's saying the TNT title means more.
Well, maybe he just means it means more to him. And if that's the title he's going after, he should feel that way. I think that tells a much better story than him going, hey, I want this title, but I really would have that one. I don't think you ever lean that way. Whatever title you're going after, when I was the Cruiserweight champion, I wanted that title to mean more to me than any other title. So much so that even when I faced, it was Dave Bautista was the World Heavyweight Champion, I held up the Cruiserweight title and I put it in his face. And I was like, this is the belt that matters more to me. And then he beat my ass. But I let the people know that championship meant that much to me. So I like that he did that. Going back to the match, I thought the Butcher did great. I'd like to see him develop more of a menace to himself, get a little bit more crazier with his facials and stuff like that. I think fatigue set in a little bit toward the end of the match. But that's the first singles match that I can remember seeing him in, and
yeah.
So I thought he did really great. The Moxley, the comparison to the CM Punk title reign, I'm not going to disagree with that at all. It's unique. And when you talk about Moxley's energy, Moxley's a guy, Ambrose, he was the same way. He's been the same way, even in the Indies. He feeds off the crowd. Right now, there's not a crowd there for him. And I think that's where you're seeing the energy output might seem a little less. I think he needs that audience out there to feed off his, because he's a frantic guy. He loves that kinetic energy and that crazy pace, and it's just not there right now. So I think he's in a tough spot, but I still think he's delivering. I don't think he's lost any value. I mean, if you do a good video package, and this will come from production, showing the guys he's beat, showing what he's went through. You got to remind people of what your world champion has been doing. Don't let it just fall by the wayside like pro wrestling does so much. Keep reminding these people. That's what UFC is really great about their fighters. They're constantly reminding you of who they beat, how they got there, the path they took to get to this position, whatever position they're in at the time. They do a fantastic job with that. We need to keep reminding people what these people have done. Reminding the fans of what these wrestlers have done. Let them know.
Fan question out there right now is it fair to compare Jon Moxley's AEW title reign to that of CM Punk and WWE? Engage with us on social via Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope on Twitter. You don't have to do anything special. Just simply comment as you watch us live here on Thursday night, October 1st, and your comments will come into the control center here, and we will share them and discuss them on air. But before we get to your comments on that, let's move on to both of your final thoughts on AEW Dynamite this week. And Dave, we'll start with you.
I thought it was a solid show. For me, having that Cody Rhodes promo, which was fantastic, the Butcher having a breakout match for himself, he looked like he has huge star potential. He looks like a guy that you should be worried about and be afraid of. And that promo with Jericho and MJF was money. Eventually, we are going to see that match, and I think it's going to be huge match.
Shane?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just killing. Jericho's killing it. Everything he touches is gold. He's Midas. He's the Midas of AEW.
I got the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to gold. Why are you shaking your head? What's wrong? I can't say.
How many viewers did we just lose just then, Dave?
we just gained 10.
Oh, sweet.
Well, this is the Pro Wrestling Report. We are live. This is PrimeTime. It's a super show. Damian Nelson along with David Hero and Shane Helms. We're taking your comments live across our social media channels as well. I want to remind you that this show would not be possible without several of our great friends, and the first of which are all of our tremendous friends over at Collar and Elbow brand. Collar and Elbow, where you can get some tremendous wrestling gear, including this amazing shirt that Shane Helms is wearing. Tell us about it.
This one is a Al Snow dedicated shirt. So it's part of the new Collar and Elbow lineup that just came out. Collar and Elbow is a tremendous amount of stuff on the show. And I had to wear this one because Cody actually put over Al Snow in his promo as well, which we've all put over that promo. And I was like, hey, I'm going to put over Al Snow as well. So, go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Dave, tell them the code.
What you got to do is use promo code PWR360 and save 10%, get some money off the shipping, and check out the new animal tribute shirt. 100% of the proceeds on this shirt will be going to the Laurinaitis family, and great people and great shirts.
And thanks to our Facebook viewer, Shelley Lene Martindale, who says that shirt looks great. I think both of them actually look great. And again, collarandelbowbrand.com. But folks, again, this show made possible by the great friends over at Collar and Elbow Brand, but also at our dear, close personal friends at Manscaped. And you can get
definitely close and personal friends. Yes,
you could get dear, close, and personal with Manscaped. They will allow you, and let's just say this, the way they say it, and it is true, your balls will thank you, because no more nicks, no more scrapes, no more cuts, no more bruises, unless you're into that sort of thing. Manscaped 3.0 will take you to the promised land, as it provides for the best in manscaping available. Gentlemen, do you have any Manscaped updates on your lawnmower 3.0 unit that you've been using?
There's lawnmowers, there's weed whackers, there's lotions, there's ointments, there's deodorants. You can't go wrong, and use promo code PWR and you get 20% off and free shipping. And let me tell you, by the time you order it, within 3 or 4 days, it's on your doorstep.
Well, let's learn more about the great benefits of using the products from our friends at Manscaped.
Honey, when's the last time you clipped your fingernails?
It's been a while.
I got you the new Shears 2.0 from Manscaped. It's a 4-piece nail kit. It has clippers, tweezers, scissors, and a file so you can stop looking like you're straight out of a horror movie.
Sounds good. Thank you, sweetheart.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Go to manscaped.com and order the Shears 2.0 today. And for a limited time, receive free shipping with your online order.
More than just your balls, your fingers will also thank you. Sometimes those things come hand in hand.
Well, yeah, because if you're scratching, you want to make sure they're not all jaggedy.
That might hurt. Manscaped.com, promo code PWR, and thank you very much for your support of the show and following along with us. Now, gentlemen, let's move on and move along. We've got 2 more things to talk about, 3 more things, rather. That would be NXT, Impact Wrestling, and then this upcoming weekend's TakeOver, the 31st edition of TakeOver from NXT. And before we get to that, let's go to NXT, and we saw a big part of what will be TakeOver develop further with Shawn Michaels in the middle of a confrontation, or a face-off, if you will, between Finn Balor, the champion, and the challenger in Kyle O'Reilly. Shane, what did you think of this segment on NXT this week?
I thought it was good. I'm glad it didn't break down into a stereotypical pull apart here. The guys went out there, they said their piece. I thought it was interesting to see O'Reilly, see him start to come out of his shell. I hope we see more and more of that in the coming weeks, no matter the outcome of this match. I think he's got a big singles push, which, I've been talking about for weeks. So I'm glad to see that. Finn Balor was really intense. I thought both guys were good. It was interesting to have Shawn out there to see him play a role. I think that adds to the, the overall value of NXT. So I really enjoyed it. And my money in this match is on the Irishman.
But wait, I got a question. Didn't Randy Orton take Shawn out Monday night, and now he's back
but
Wednesday night?
Damian, but they were on Earth 52 on this one.
Yeah, different.
It's okay. Yeah, it's a different dimension. It's okay. There's multiverses in WWE. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, it's a different multiverse. It's
all
fine.
right. Okay.
But you know what? I don't think Finn Balor has ever had more promo time than he did, and it's like, you saw that star power everyone keeps talking about with him. He was confident. He was confident, and he was confident, and he almost didn't know who the babyface was in this match because they were both taking big digs at each other. This was a very close second for me behind the Cody Rhodes promo, because I thought they did a great job of introducing Kyle O'Reilly as someone that's legit. I thought Finn Balor did a great job of putting his opponent over because he's known as a tag team expert, and he did a great job of saying, "No, I know you're good. I know you're great. And if you were wrestling anybody but me, you would probably win the title." I thought that was good box office money right there.
Shane, your friend, your pal, the man you speak highly about on this show, had a matchup. It was Rich Holland going up against, what's his name again?
Cameron Grimes.
Oh, yes, Cameron Grimes. Your thoughts quickly on that matchup?
That was good stuff. You know, like a little rough night at the office for Cameron Grimes, but you know, they're doing good stuff with Rich Holland. And Rich Holland, you know, I got a chance to work with him down at the Performance Center as well. You know, he's a student of the game, and I think he's got a pretty good future ahead of himself as well. So, you know, Cameron Grimes, he's good. He can go between being an ass kicker to being a really entertaining bumping heel. You know, so he's got a lot of tools in the box to use, and that's going to be a benefit to NXT. So, I thought that was a good segment as well.
What was also good was a matchup between Adam Cole and Austin Theory. Austin Theory, who I think just continues to get better and better and better every week. We talked about him at length last week, but Dave, give us your quick thoughts on that matchup between these two men.
You know what? It's weird because I think it hasn't the last couple of weeks. Austin Theory's been getting his ass kicked by everybody, and now he's an issue.
Know, I would say this: I don't know about getting his ass kicked versus being competitive and losing in matchups that were very entertaining.
So he hasn't been
Here we go.
winning. He hasn't been winning, and he hasn't been looking like the guy that just came off of Monday Night Raw. And I'm wondering, well, why is Adam Cole so concerned about a guy that can't win? I didn't get that. But, you know, they had a great match. I thought Austin Theory reestablished himself as somebody because of the match he had with Adam Cole. Even though he did lose, but he lost to Mr. NXT. But for me, I was confused as to why he's so worried about Austin Theory. But in the end, it was a solid match, and maybe that was the reboot that Austin Theory needed.
Io Shirai teams up with Damian Priest to take on, the power couple, I think they're calling them, that of Johnny Gargano and also Candice LeRae. We're going to see Candice LeRae take on Io Shirai at the pay-per-view. We're going to see Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano in a ladder match at the pay-per-view as well. So good build, I thought, was this segment to that matchup. But Shane, what did you take away from this matchup?
I took two things in particular. I thought the finish was fantastic. So well done. And I thought Damian Priest just looked like a star out there. I mean, he was big. He's huge. He's just getting better and better. I think his confidence is at an all-time high, which it should be, deservedly so. And I thought this was a fantastic way to end the show.
David Hero, your thoughts?
I agree. The Damian Priest we're seeing right now, I did not see this coming from this guy 6-7 months ago.
I tried to tell you.
He just has the confidence.
Tried to tell you.
You did try. Just like he was fantastic. And I loved the finish. It's like it was the best finish for that match going into Saturday's TakeOver.
Mm-hmm. So, Damien, how you doing? Chris Wallace has left the building.
Sorry about that. I got people in my ear. I was just trying to keep things going here.
You're busy, man. You're busy, man.
NXT, their go-home edition leading into TakeOver 31, the match we just talked about, the situation, the confrontation, if you will, between Finn Balor.
I just realized your name is now Chris Wallace on the screen. I just saw that now. That's fantastic.
The confrontation between Finn Balor and
that was a time bomb joke because he did that shit like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
it just now blew up.
Again, Shane, details. I paid attention
exactly. It's right in front of you until it's not. And Kyle O'Reilly. I'm looking forward to the matchup. Now we're going to fantasy book NXT after we talk about Impact, but your thoughts on the go home edition overall of NXT leading into the pay-per-view Saturday night, David Hero?
I thought it was great. Let's not forget about Shotzi Blackheart. That girl is going to wind up seriously hurting herself. She took that big bump off on the ring apron. A great match. Another solid match with her. Gets the big victory. Overall, I thought the show was good. I mean, I thought it had a better flow to me than what AEW had. AEW it just has magic, but NXT was grittier. It felt more of a sense of urgency. Of course, they're building to take over, but definitely a solid show. I liked it.
And Shane, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I thought both shows delivered this week. I know last week I thought NXT blew AEW out of the water. The week before that, I thought AEW blew NXT out of the water. This week, I thought both shows really delivered. And I mean, that makes me look forward to next week. And I don't know what more you can ask from a television show that it makes you look forward to next week.
Great point, gentlemen. Thank you for your detailed analysis on both AEW and NXT. That's not, of course, all that we talk about here on this broadcast, because Impact Wrestling this past Tuesday night on Access TV.
Easy for you to say.
Right. I want to focus on one thing because a lot happened in it, and we know going into Bound for Glory on October 24th, it's going to be Rich Swann and gosh, why is his name escaping me?
Eric Swann. It's Eric Swann.
Who are you referring to?
Rich Swann and Eric Young.
Thank you very much, Shane. Eric Young. We know that match is going to take place at Bound for Glory, but this past Tuesday on Impact, we saw the road to redemption, if you will, the road to recovery for Rich Swann. But it shouldn't be lost in that conversation the involvement of Heath for Impact and EC3. Are we being set up for another obvious situation that may still be entertaining at Bound for Glory, where the road to redemption for Rich Swann is actually going to be foiled and thwarted by others who aren't in the matchup? Shane, your thoughts?
No, I don't think so. I think EC3's got his hands full with Moose and Heath, and it was announced that Heath and Rhino will have a match with Reno Scum. So, I mean, unless they're going to go out of their way to swerve us, I think those two factors will be handled. And what I thought was that Eddie Edwards would get involved. But as we saw this past Tuesday on Impact, Ken Shamrock returned and attacked Eddie Edwards. So what we'll be seeing is Eddie Edwards having to deal with Ken Shamrock via Sami Callihan somehow to keep their story going. So, no, I think Victory Road is the pay-per-view coming up next. Isn't that correct? And that's where we'll see Rich Swann against Eric Young?
Yeah.
I thought it was at Bound for Glory.
There's one this Saturday called Victory Road.
Victory Road. I don't know. Is that a pay-per-view?
I think it's on Impact Plus, which is their streaming service or their app or something like that. So I don't know. If you're paying for it, everything's pay-per-view, I guess.
No, you're right, Shane. Two points, actually. I want to thank a YouTube user by the name of Fonzie805 who reminded me that TakeOver is Sunday this week. And actually, Victory Road special from Impact Wrestling will be on Saturday. And that's where Rhino and Heath will have a match with Reno Scum. That's this Saturday at Victory Road. And
how great did Ken Shamrock look?
Fantastic.
Tuesday night.
That looked great. But it was weird. You could tell he was waiting for like almost a fan reaction.
Yeah.
And so there was a weird, awkward second when Eddie turned around and Ken was standing there. I was like, y'all going to do anything? But he looked incredible.
So here's my question. And Dave, you've many times referenced the Impact Hall of Fame as a potluck dinner here on this broadcast.
It has been a potluck dinner.
But Ken Shamrock to be inducted. And earlier this week, late last week on social media, Ken Shamrock asked a very big star in wrestling to induct him into said Hall of Fame, that being The Rock, who has seemingly accepted that offer. Will it really happen at Bound for Glory?
Shane. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess he's going to film something for him. He said he would, so that'll be really interesting. I mean, The Rock's pretty gracious with his time, with being one of the busiest people on the whole damn planet. So it'll be cool. It'll be a good moment for Ken. Ken's had a really great career. I knew Ken before he was even Ken Shamrock. When he was Vince Torelli in the South Atlantic days back in the day. So it's going to be cool. And to see that he's out there still going, I mean, to look like he's doing, man, the amount of time that dude is in the gym is just incredible.
It's interesting, and I want to get to a question here, but I want to make a point first. The Rock, in 1 week's time, has announced that the XFL returns in 2022, that he bought from Vince McMahon. He's endorsed the presidential candidate that clearly is not the same one Vince McMahon endorses. And now he's going to induct Ken Shamrock into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame, all announced within 1 week's time. I ain't reading more into it, but I do need to ask the question, is there more into it here, David Hero?
Not at all, because he's going to probably fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I mean, The Rock is his own entity. The Rock right now means more than WWE does, because he can go anywhere, any place, anytime, and everything. He's the real Midas man in entertainment right now. WWE needs The Rock more than The Rock needs WWE right now at this moment in time.
Fair statement, and thank you for that, David Hero. It will be.
Wait. Why don't you ask the other guy what he thinks? I mean, wouldn't you agree, Shane?
Yeah, I agree.
See? All right,
So,
carry on.
no, here's the thing, and I appreciate this, and I'm trying to figure out ways to justify this, or at least explain it to myself so I understand, so I don't get pissed off. Even when we were in the studio together with a big ass clock on the wall, you couldn't follow time and realize when I was trying to be mindful of time so that we didn't go over. And you didn't care that the editing team had to spend an extra hour trying to get the show down to TV time because you had to keep running your jaws.
Are you calling me a clock block? Clock block?
You are blocking the clock on this episode. You absolutely are. You are a clock block.
Children. Now that I think about it, I do want to talk about that a little bit more. Let's go on. What are we supposed to do next? We need to go ahead. What else happened on Impact? I thought Impact was great. Let's get back to it. Luke Gallows is looking as good as he's ever looked. I don't know if you guys noticed that. This tag match, Luke Gallows stood out on everybody. I think Ace Austin, who is now calling himself the inevitable, easy for me to say, Ace Austin. That's my new favorite name in the business, or favorite moniker. I thought he looked incredible. There was a lot of good stuff. I missed the first 20 minutes of the show because of a rainstorm, not the satellite out here on the farm. But, I know Jordan Grace and Tennille was out there doing some stuff. That's when my satellite cut back on. So I thought Impact too. Impact still without the crowd having the biggest handicap of either show. I think they're still putting out a really strong product.
Shane, knowing that the Machine Guns are the current TNA Impact World Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, why would they go and run down to the ring to help out the Good Brothers? Why wouldn't they just say, you know what, get your ass beat. You're the biggest tag team in this four-way. You have the most experience, the most titles. Why would they want to help them? I don't understand that.
I don't either. I wish they would have done some kind of segment in the back that showed some kind of camaraderie between the Good Brothers and the Machine Guns. Mm-hmm. Because if they're hanging out and they're buddies and they made some kind of, hey man, you watch my back, I'll watch yours sort of thing, then I get it. But since they didn't do that, I completely agree. Why involve yourself in something? You're the champions. Mm-hmm. Let everybody else beat themselves up. Yeah. Just because you're a babyface doesn't mean you have to be Superman. And go save everybody. But yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't know why they did that.
As long as you don't Superman that hoe, I tell you. So that was Impact Wrestling. What, Shane? I try, and you just No,
that was good. That was good. I'm proud of you for that one. I'm proud of you for that one. That wasn't bad at all.
Every week I show up here just seeking your approval for being in existence, and the fact
that you even knew that song and the delivery wasn't that bad.
Full disclosure, and you might have to take it back. Full disclosure, I didn't know what it meant till about 3 years ago.
Okay, I understand that.
Folks, that was Impact Wrestling. Thank you very much for that discussion. We still have to be the booker for WWE Clash of Champions. NXT.
I'm not expecting WAP to be on your playlist anytime soon either, so just so you know.
Oh, Fetty Wap? I'm a big Fetty Wap fan.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
The stereotyping going on in this show is contrary to typical stereotyping, and I'm
not typing at all.
I want to denounce all forms of stereotypicalism on this show. And I want to give an opportunity now to show all of you, and I know, Shane, you're not in this, but Dave needs to understand and be put in his place from time to time, that I am winning in the 2020-2021 PWR Fantasy Draft. And let's go now to our colleague in a phone booth on the road somewhere.
No.
The man they call Meathead with this week's draft update.
Hello again, I'm the man they call Meathead with a PWR draft update for Clash of Champions. Now, after the big night at the Clash, the soon-to-be champion of the PWR draft, this guy has jumped back out to a sizable lead thanks to all of his champions that he has, even though he lost a championship match. I also need to address some controversy that happened with the Bayley Asuka match that was in fact a title match, not what was being floated out there. Cole literally said during the match, Asuka is trying to be a double champion, and they did have the title graphic on the screen as recognized by WWE.com. The Asuka Bayley match was a title match, so I get title defense points from Bayley even though she lost the match. Now here are the current totals brought to you by the accounting firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Meathead has 1,665. Now, it should have 1,680. However, folks, this is breaking news here. There is going to be a roster update. I will be dropping Angel Garza, who is now out with injury, and picking up the tag team of Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. So that puts me at 1,665. In second place, David Hero at 1,425. Third place, Damian Nelson, who is in the middle, but we all know that he votes on the right. 1,185 points. Drew Baydow in fourth, 1,005 points, and bringing up the rear, sadly, is Linda Kay at 930. Now, the next pay-per-view that will score points will be NXT TakeOver this coming Saturday, NXT TakeOver 31 on the WWE Network. Don't forget to check out the PWR Daily, Monday through Friday, with myself and everybody else from the family at the PWR. So, for the PWR Draft, I'm the man they call Meathead. Thanks for stopping by. Here's Dave, Damian, and Shane once again.
You know, actually, it's just Damian. I've got to take – I want to be serious for a moment here. I appreciate you telling the world how I'm in first place in the draft. But this is the second time in a single broadcast I've been accused of voting for a particular candidate. And I just want to make crystal clear. I just want to make crystal clear that I have not officially endorsed any one of the two presidential candidates, nor will I do so on this program. But I do want to seriously right now, as the winner of the draft, the host of this show, is to encourage all of you to, by any way you can, to vote for whoever it is you want to vote for. We can't let our voices be stifled. We can't step back and say we should have when we didn't. If things don't go the way that whatever it is you want to go that way on November 4th. So step up, step out, vote via mail.
Well done. Good message.
Details. All the details. Uh-huh.
Vote, ladies and gentlemen. It is your civil responsibility. People have died for you to have that right. Go out and vote. Do your part. Mail, in person, whatever it may be. Options exist. Voting has started in several different places already. Get out the vote and vote for the candidate you see right. And if you don't like either of the two that are out there right now, don't vote against somebody. Write somebody in. In fact, Shane will take your write-in vote if you are torn between the two candidates, as a lot of you are. But don't vote against. Vote for.
If you think we're in a shit show now, just imagine me in office.
Ooh! Can I be on the cabinet?
No. I don't know. I'm gonna need some help. What can you do?
I could be the department. I could be the defense secretary. I could be the labor secretary.
Hey,
finance secretary.
Just put me in charge of education, and we'll be fine.
You can't be any worse than what's in there now.
Oh, Betsy! Heavens to Betsy! Yeah, I think you know what?
Meathead really chose Dana Brooke and Mandy.
Again, Dave, vote for whoever you want to vote for. Write in whoever you want to write in.
I wouldn't vote for Dana Brooke and Mandy.
Well, folks, it is time now for NXT TakeOver, the Be the Booker, if you will. It is Sunday night on pay-per-view, and apologize a couple times now in the episode we have said that it is Saturday. Well, they typically have it on Saturdays this time. It is a Sunday night offering, and it looks like this show may take place in the Thunderdome, which is still one of the greatest things that have come out of the pandemic era, because it truly is. It has made weekly wrestling from WWE watchable, because sometimes I get lost in the fact that it's virtual, and I'm like, you know what? This is actually sort of normal. And they've done a great job with that. So let's see what they do for NXT. And let's go now down the card for NXT of the matches that have been announced so far. And gentlemen, in this segment, what I want for the both of you is to tell me not how you think the match is going to go, but how you would book it. And the most important element of that is to explain to the world why you would do so. So we're going to start with you, David, this week, and we're going to start with a Cruiserweight Championship matchup. And that's going to be Santos Escobar, the champion, going one-on-one with Isaiah Swerve Scott, of which this guy is a fan.
If I'm booking that match, if they give me the pencil, there's no way I'm going to take that title off of Santos Escobar. I think that he right now is money for the Cruiserweight Championship. He's got the right group of guys around him. He has the look. He has the swagger. and I just think they can do so much more with him. As talented as Swerve is, definitely always in the conversation as the cruiserweight champ. But I'm gonna keep the title on Santos Escobar.
David Hero would book Santos Escobar. Shane, how would you book this cruiserweight championship matchup?
This one could go either way, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind seeing Swerve as a new champion. You know, you got to get some excitement around that championship. You know, sometimes if a champion is too long of a title run, I've been there, it kind of loses a little bit of steam on the actual championship itself. And I don't think Escobar has to be married to that division. I mean, he's kind of outshined everybody there. And when that becomes the case, when you clean out a division, it's time to move. So it might be time for Escobar to move on to bigger and better things himself. So I could see him, you know, maybe going after the North American Championship or going after the NXT Championship. You know, if you saw that promo he did with Shaq, they both came off really good. But Escobar just, man, I don't know. I see so much potential with him. So I think want to keep the championship on him a little bit longer, you know, to just cement the legacy of that run. That's cool. But at the same time, I kind of feel like it's time to move him on to bigger and better things. So I'm going to go with Shane Strickland in this one.
Who?
I used to work with Shane Strickland on the Indies. Swerve.
Damien, he was at the New York Shenanigans party. Seriously, how do you not know this?
I had a shot with him.
Oh, there you go. You know what? I could see them taking Santos
I don't
Escobar.
think he did. Oh, you mean a drink?
There's a lot of innuendo going on here that I don't fully follow because, you know, my bestial ways.
Is that
Shane?
This dirty talk that y'all talk?
Shane, did he though? Anyways, I could see Santos Escobar going up to Raw and bringing his buddies with him and forming a...
Oh, wait, you're changing your pick now, Mr. Lawler?
No, I'm not. I'm saying, when you talk about him going on to bigger and better things, I could see Santos Escobar with Andrade, and you bring up, you know, Zema Ion and the other guy.
Next matchup I want to talk about at NXT TakeOver this Sunday night on pay-per-view.
And then they have the Trabajo business.
So, David.
Yes.
I would like to give you the opportunity to... Is Cal in the house right now?
No, he's taking care of Grandpa Louie right now. He's good.
So who's going to tell you that it's currently 7:32 and 4 seconds, 2 minutes over?
That would be you. Thank you. Wait, hold on.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Damien just told me it's 7:32 in my phone, in my ear, right here.
And that, of course, being Central Time. Next matchup, Velveteen Dream going up against Kushida. It's a singles matchup. Shane, how would you book it?
This is going to be interesting, but it seems like they're really letting Kushida have his way with people. So I think it'll be interesting to see how far they can take Kushida in this one. Velveteen obviously is still a bigger star in NXT, so this one is close too. I'm gonna go with Kushida here.
All right, David Hero.
I agree. There's no way the Dream defeats Kushida right now.
So I want to ask you both a question, and we haven't touched this issue, but I've not followed it as much as some who are very opinionated on social media as a situation with the Velveteen Dream.
This is beautiful. What is it, velvet?
Is he... God, how do I even ask the question?
Is he guilty?
No.
Is
he being treated fairly right now, in your opinion? Because a lot of people are saying that based on the situation where he interacted with what apparently was an underage person, with some inappropriate comments. Some have stated that perhaps it's not right for WWE to still have him on their air. You can give details if you want, but I just want to get your opinions. Yes or no, is he receiving fair treatment? He has been convicted of nothing, David Hero.
More than fair. He's been on the last couple of big shows. He's been on the paper. He's been on the takeovers. He hasn't lost his spot. They didn't send him home. He's being used almost weekly on television. And, I mean, it just shows that, yeah, they're treating this seriously. And if there was any inclination that he is guilty or completely inappropriate, he would not be on the air right now.
Yeah, and I don't know any details. To even talk about. So No clue. But I mean, I do feel like if there was any threat of him giving putting a black eye on the company, that he wouldn't be in the position that he is. So that being said, I haven't followed that story closely. I just don't know.
I think there's something.
I know that seems like a safe answer, but I can't follow everything. It seems
you did well there, Shane.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that
people are going to say I just didn't want to answer, but honestly, there's too much shit going on. I can't keep up with everything, and I don't know all the details and all of that. And the only thing I've seen is things that fans have said, and I'm not going to trust fans to have all the details of a story. So I don't know.
Well, and that's a fair point. I say this too. I've not followed it much because it is a social media story, and unfortunately, when accusations are made across social media, the court of public opinion is allowed to pass judgment as opposed to a court of law if a crime has been committed. And I think that's an inherent challenge. But what I do think is also a challenge is I want to ensure that our viewers watching this program know one thing, and that is that unequivocally, there is one person who I favor on this show, and that would be the stars of the show. Two people I favor, me and Shane. So I want to be serious. I want to be serious here. I want to clear something up because something has happened over the course of the last few weeks that people have gotten the wrong impression. And I want to go to a comment from a viewer on YouTube. His name is Russell Plummer, who says, and I quote, "There seems to be some tension between Hurricane and Damian."
Sexual?
Don't think so. We need these two seasoned wrestling vets to settle it in Hell in the Cell. Now, I'm retired from in-ring competition, Shane. I don't think there's any heat there between you and I would just want to give the opportunity to correct Russell here. I ain't wrestling. I'm not a wrestler. I'm a cerebral assassin, and I appreciate the comments, but there is no tension here except for the great debate that continues of whether it's grape or purple, and the world knows it's grape.
No, the world does not. Nobody agrees with you but yourself. And I'm way past my case.
See, that's why people think there's tension.
No, because you're wrong. The drink is called purple. Nobody calls it grape but you. We did a poll.
Company calls it grape.
We did a poll. You lost massively in a landslide.
Whoa! Did you do the poll?
That is fake news. That is fake news.
Who did what poll was being done here?
The goal in life is to keep your daughter off the pole. You know that, David Hero. Let's move on and continue talking. And the next matchup, I can't believe you guys are dragging this out. We are 7 minutes in overtime.
To answer your question,
you brought this out because you wanted to bring this thing up. You want to talk about Helms in the Cell.
On Velveteen Dream, you know it's bad. They haven't changed his name. Now, if they called him Velvet Dream, then it will be an issue.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next matchup on NXT TakeOver that we want to talk about is for the North American Championship, and it will be a ladder match, ladies and gentlemen. Damian Priest will be defending his championship against Johnny Gargano. And Dave, in an effort to save your last comment, I will give you the first comment on this matchup. How would you book it?
Damian Priest. I mean, come on. You know, he got screwed in the last match and the finish and everything else. And there's money in him right now. Johnny Gargano doesn't need the title. Yeah, it'd be cool if him and his wife somehow they get both belts and they can run with it. But Damian Priest, they got money in him. He's a stud. He's a giant. And, yeah, keep going forward with Damian Priest.
Shane Hurricane Helms, my dear close personal friend, what do you think? How would you book this match?
Yeah, I think Damian Priest just looks phenomenal right now. He kind of seems at the top of his game, so I wouldn't take any steam off of him right now. Gargano doesn't need it. Gargano, of course, he's Johnny Wrestling. He can go on to anything after this and be fine. I say stick with Damian Priest as your champ.
Next matchup, gentlemen, is a women's championship matchup. Io Shirai, I-O-E-O-E-I-E-I-O-O, will take on Candice LeRae, and Candice LeRae is going after that women's championship. Shane, how would you book it?
It might be time for Candice. It might be, she's done such good work these last couple of weeks. I'm a big fan of Io Shirai, and if they want to keep that, if they're trying to build a strong run for her, kind of like the Oscar run, I guess I can see that as well. But Candace has just been so entertaining. She's delivering in her matches and her promos, and I wouldn't mind seeing Candace. I wouldn't mind seeing Candace get it.
Well, that's your neighborhood. That's not us.
What are you doing? What's happening over there?
I told you we had to be done at 8:30. Next matchup is the main event. It is the NXT Championship matchup.
Hey, are you guilty of something? You just got scared. That was outside my house.
Well, of course. Look at him. I agree with Shane, though. I'm going to go with Candice LeRae also.
Oh. The endorsed Finn Balor defends his NXT Championship against Kyle O'Reilly. David Hero, you mentioned earlier how the stakes have been made very high in this matchup. They're treating it as a big deal, a main event, a big deal matchup, a standout moment potentially for that being Kyle O'Reilly. How would you gentlemen book this matchup this Sunday at the 31st installment of TakeOver? We'll start with you, David Hero.
I'm going to go with Finn Balor because that's the guy that you have to run with right now. And Shane, Shane coined the phrase before I ever did on this show. Kyle O'Reilly gets over, Finn Balor goes over. And I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Cole somehow gets involved in this.
Well, would you book it that way?
Oh, absolutely. Because I think that Kyle O'Reilly only is going to get 1 or 2 shots at Finn Balor. And then where does Kyle O'Reilly go after that? To get stabbed in the back by his brother? I mean, I think that Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole can elevate Kyle O'Reilly just as much, if not more, as Finn Balor could.
All right, that's how David Octavius Hero would book the matchup. Shane Hurricane Helms, how would you book this NXT Championship endeavor?
I wish you would have picked me first because I'm in total agreement. That's exactly what I would have said. I see Adam Cole getting involved somehow. And I was thinking about this with the Austin Theory match because I was thinking what you do with Austin Theory, going back to Austin Theory versus Adam Cole in NXT. I would like to see Austin Theory as a member of the Undisputed Era. At some point, they're going to have to pull a horseman gimmick and kick somebody out and get a new, fresh guy. Mm-hmm. If you bring Austin Theory in there in kind of that Luger role, that could be something. That could be an interesting dynamic there. Kyle O'Reilly I think he's ready for a singles run, and so that's what I would like to see. I would like to see, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole probably get involved. I see Finn Balor continuing his run as champion, even though it's his first defense. And out of that, some kind of shenanigans, but Kyle O'Reilly, I think he's got a big singles future ahead of him. And Adam Cole getting involved or some member of Undisputed Era getting involved could be easily what happens. That's what I would do.
Well, a lot of agreement between the two of you as it pertains to NXT TakeOver as far as how you would book it. Does that say that the show is a bit too obvious going into this Sunday on pay-per-view?
No, it just means that we know what we're talking about.
No, it just means you picked what Shane picked.
Or that, yeah. A or B.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it happens. Yeah.
NXT TakeOver 31 this Sunday on the WWE Network, and we will be tuning in. We'll see how it all works out. We'll be live with you again next Thursday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Fight TV. But, gentlemen, we have had a request sent in via electronic mail, and I just want to run it by you for your thoughts, as this is a collaborative forum. I want to get everyone's opinion. People love Be the Booker, and they have asked if you two would be willing to fantasy book the upcoming presidential debate in 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to do that. Yeah.
No.
So in 2 weeks from now.
No.
Dave says yes. Shane says no. The debate starts right here, right now. Shane, you just look defeated. Did you watch the debate on Tuesday night?
I just don't like to hear any of that shit no more. It just makes me angry. Makes me hate everybody.
You've tapped it. Whoa.
Everybody.
Hold
no,
on.
I just, I know the last 4 years have been awful. The country's got so much worse. I don't know how anybody can look at it any differently unless they're just devoted to their team. If you're devoted to your team, what more can anybody say? It is what it is.
To that point, I think both of you are familiar with, but I don't know if you listen to intently, Chris Rock, his comedy at least.
Of course.
He did 2 great bits in his life, 3 great bits. First, when MTV Video Music Awards were at the Carnegie Hall or the radio, it must have been Carnegie. and he said on air, "I'm the first black person to stand on the stage without a mop." And second, he did a comedy bit where I referenced it earlier, where a dad's only job is to keep his girl out of the clear heels. But he did another one about political affiliation and how blindly following a party line is just a great bit to listen to from a comedic standpoint. I think that's somewhat the point you were making just a moment ago, Shane. But and Chris Rock's in Fargo now. Are you guys fans of Fargo?
Hell yeah. Fantastic show.
Is that on Netflix or is that on, what is that on?
No, it's on FX.
Is the Shameless guy, William H. Macy, is he still in that?
I think he was in the movie version, right?
Yeah, he was. Whoops.
All
right. We are see, I should have just shut up 12 minutes ago because I had you, Shane. Now I've lost you again.
There you have it.
Superman, that hoe, I tell you, you. All right,
we're not playing that video on the show. Okay, not doing it. Hey, Shane, is there a Highway to Helms this week?
Yeah. Actually, I filmed it. It came out Tuesday. I filmed it Monday. It came out Tuesday. Highway to Helms. Anywhere your favorite podcasts are. I do a good tribute. Well, not good. It's a tribute to Animal. I had to acknowledge it. We've lost so many people in the business this year. It seems like I've done that on my show like 15 times. But then I get into my favorite movies recently, favorite TV shows, and as always, the Comic Slam, which is the fastest growing segment of my show. And is really leading to me some interesting opportunities right now.
That's Highway to Helms and this podcast, the Pro Wrestling Report Super Show, available wherever you listen to your podcast channels. Don't forget, we also, as Meathead alluded to earlier, have a daily edition, a digest, if you will, the Pro Wrestling Report today. It is all the wrestling news and views in 20 minutes or less, so it's easy to take with you on the go. But if you want the long-form edition of the show, which is long-form edition of the show this week, be sure to check us out, PWR Primetime with Shane Helms. So, gentlemen, unless you have any parting comments for the listening audience, I want to thank everybody for joining us here live on Fight TV. Welcome you to join us on demand after the show airs here live on Thursday nights, and also to join us again next Thursday live right here on Fight TV, F-I-T-E, Fight, for that one. Dang it, I can never. That one. And the host, the star, Shane Helms. This is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for joining us, tuning in, and we'll see you next time right here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show.